Man, bro, did a song with Lul Timm. Man, y'all, shut y'all. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
That's Lul Timm, King Von's shooter, calling out every O Block member after Chief Keef linked with NBA Youngboy. The Block lost their brother, and now his killer is taunting them on camera. What did O Block fire back that silenced the internet? And did Timm just seal his own fate? Let's get into it. Sosa linked up with the ops, and the Block lost it. Alright, so check it. On February 13th, 2026, the rap game was just doing its thing, right? Everybody scrolling their timelines, debating who's top 5 dead or alive, and then out of absolutely nowhere, boom, a track drops that had the entire culture looking at each other sideways like, nah, they ain't really just do that. The joint was called Rooms, produced by Mike Will Made It, and it featured 2 names that had no business being on the same beat together, NBA Youngboy and Chief Keef. And bro, the moment that studio footage hit the internet showing these 2 in the lab just vibing out like everything was sweet, the streets went crazy. Not, oh, that's interesting crazy, like full-blown Twitter's on fire, every blog got a post up within the hour type of crazy. Because if you know the history, if you understand what these names represent, and the bodies and the beefs and the broken bonds that sit between them, then you already know this wasn't just a collab. This was a statement, and the Block took it personal.
Lul Timm responded to people being mad at Chief Keef and NBA Youngboy just announcing a new collab dropping soon. This is something to talk about.
So let's break down who we're dealing with here, because context is everything when it comes to the streets. Chief Keef, government name Keith Farrell Cozart, born August 15th, 1995, is deadass the originator of O Block and the man who single-handedly invented drill music. Like, that ain't an exaggeration. Sosa grew up in Parkway Garden Homes on the south side of Chicago, the same projects that got renamed O Block in 2011 after they lost O.D. Perry. This is a dude who was rapping at 5 years old on his mama's karaoke machine. By the time he was a teenager on house arrest in 2011 for a gun charge, he was uploading freestyles to YouTube that literally birthed an entire subgenre of hip-hop that went on to influence the whole game globally. The gritty beats, the auto-tune ad-libs, the raw, unfiltered bars about what life really looks like when you're growing up in the trenches. All of that's Sosa's blueprint. Every drill rapper that came after him, from UK artists to Atlanta trappers, they're all building on the foundation this man laid when he was still a shorty.
I'm starting to see why people had a saying that the best thing Chief Keef could have done was distance himself from O Block and get out of Chicago.
And by 2012, Sosa wasn't just hot, he was the hottest thing walking. His mixtape Back from the Dead and the banger I Don't Like, which Kanye West heard and threw a whole remix on with Pusha T, Jadakiss, and Big Sean, didn't just go viral. It hit the Billboard Hot 100 and kicked off a bidding war that landed him a $6 million deal with Interscope Records, including his own Glory Boys Entertainment imprint. His debut album, Finally Rich, dropped that same year with features from 50 Cent and Wiz Khalifa, and tracks like Love Sosa, which has since gone quintuple platinum, cemented his status as the godfather of drill music. But here's the thing, nobody talks about enough. He was 16, a kid, carrying the weight of the whole hood on his back while ducking real smoke from real ops who wanted him gone. His team saw the writing on the wall and moved him out to a suburban mansion in Northfield at just 16 or 17 years old. That was the first step out the door, and he never really came back. Now on the other end of this track sits NBA Youngboy, Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden from Baton Rouge, one of the most streamed rappers on the entire planet. And normally, a collab between 2 artists this big would just be a W for everybody involved. But see, what makes this whole situation a powder keg is Youngboy's deep, nasty, years-long beef with Lil Durk and OTF. We're talking diss tracks, we're talking subliminals on every album, we're talking affiliations with people who have been directly connected to real-life violence involving OTF members. Youngboy has dissed King Von, rest in peace, on wax more than once. And Von was O Block royalty. He was the heart of that block's identity after Keef dipped. So in the eyes of O Block, NBA Youngboy ain't just a rival rapper. He is the OP, capital O, capital P, capital P.
Well, what parts of the body?
I get shot in my right hip bone, and I get shot on my ass. It go in and out though.
That clip right there, that's from Lul Timm himself, the man who shot King Von, casually recounting the night that changed everything. We'll get deep into that shortly. But understand what this sets up. The man from O Block making music with the op of the man who tried to avenge what Timm did to their brother. That's why the streets went crazy. And the numbers on Rooms proved this wasn't just drama. The track was actually going up. 1.3 million YouTube views in 4 days, 1.2 million on TikTok, and 304,000 first-day Spotify streams. Mike Will made it, cooked it as part of his upcoming album, R3 Set, dropping March 20th, 2026. The production was fire, Youngboy handling the melodic chorus with that raw auto-tune energy he's known for, and Sosa sliding in with a lengthy verse about survival, bread, and opposition. Classic Keef. But the block was not having it, not even a little bit. O-Block and OTF affiliates immediately called it a snake move. Straight up said Sosa was switching sides, flipping on his own people for a check and some studio time. One affiliate posted that Keef had gone against his ish and declared O-Block would forever prosper and stand strong without him. Others went even further, saying Keef was permanently banned from ever stepping foot on the block again, which, let's be real, is wild considering the man hasn't been back to Chicago in years anyway. But the emotion behind it was genuine. To them, this collab felt like Sosa was spitting on Von's grave, like he was co-signing everything Youngboy and his camp represented, the disses, the mockery, the whole energy that had been directed at O-Block since November 2020. And in the hood, perception is everything. It don't matter what your intentions were. What matters is how the streets receive it. And the streets received Rooms like a slap to the face.
Loyalty for me is strong though. It's like, loyalty to me is for everybody that a nigga fucking with, so.
And that concept of loyalty, that idea of who you ride for and who rides for you, who's solid and who's snaking, is exactly what sits at the core of this entire situation. Because this wasn't about a song, not even close. This was about a decade plus of built-up resentment, broken bonds, stolen property, unpaid bonds, and a block that felt like the man who put them on the map packed his bags and left them all in the dust without looking back once. To understand why O-Block felt the way they felt when Rooms dropped, you gotta go back to the beginning, back to when the love between Keef and the block first started curdling into something bitter and irreparable. The fallout, the shooting, and the blood that never dried. The smoke between Chief Keef and O-Block didn't start with Rooms. It didn't even start with Youngboy. Nah, if you really want to trace this back to the source, the beef goes all the way back to when Sosa first started getting his bag, and the homie who was supposed to be riding with him from day one started feeling some type of way about it. That homie, Lil Durk. Durk, born Dirk Banks in '92, came up on Englewood's 300 block, also known as Lamron, right around the corner from O-Block on the south side. Both of them were BD, Black Disciples, affiliates who linked up through mutual homies when they were coming up as shorties. They were in the same trenches, ducking the same bullets, trying to make it out the same way. Dirk has even been quoted saying Keef put Chicago on the map during the early drill wave. For a minute there, Sosa and Dirk looked like they were about to run the city together. Two young bulls from the south side about to take over the whole game. But around 2013, the whole dynamic shifted. The word on the streets was simple. Dirk caught a gun charge and needed bread for bail, about $10,000. Keef allegedly didn't post it, and that wasn't even the first time something like that happened. Supposedly, O-Block's own Trey 5 needed around $25,000 for bond, and Keef didn't come through for that either. To the guys still posted up on the block, still in the field catching cases and losing homies, that type of move was foul, real foul. You don't blow up off the hood and then leave your dogs hanging when they need you the most. That's how they saw it anyway. And then things got even grimier. There was the whole situation where Boss Top, a known O-Block member, allegedly ran up in Keef's crib and hit a lick on him. And on top of that, there were reports that Von himself swiped 2 pipes from Keef, just straight up took his guns. After that, Sosa was cooked with the block. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, he was done with O-Block politics. Done trying to maintain relationships with people who kept crossing him. The exit happened in stages, each one pulling Sosa further from the only world he'd ever known. First, it was the suburban mansion when he was 16, his team literally removing him from the block for his own survival. Then his cousin Blood Money got killed in 2014, and Keef has said publicly that losing Blood was the moment that made him realize, you gotta grow up. He started contemplating a permanent move, thinking about what life could look like outside of Chicago's crosshairs. Then, in 2015, the final straw. 20 cops pulled up on him with AK-47s over a popped tire on a motorbike. 20 police officers, assault rifles, over a tire. That's when he said bet, packed up the whole squad, and bounced to LA for good, calling the city's quiet environment a game changer for his mental health and his music. He described the move as the best decision he ever made, and looking at where everybody else ended up, it's hard to argue with that. Out in LA, Sosa built a whole new life from the ground up. 9 kids, independent drops on his own terms after Interscope let him go in 2014. He got into art collecting, something he picked up during rehab, and started moving different. He launched the 43B label in 2022 with BMG and RBC, dropped projects like Almighty So 2 in 2024 that showed real maturity, and completely removed himself from the politics back home. The man hasn't set foot in Chicago for years, won't even go back because of the legal heat and the genuine safety risks. And to the dudes still posted on the block, still living that life, still burying homies and catching cases, Sosa's decade-long absence didn't feel like growth. It felt like abandonment, like he made it out, closed the door behind him, and forgot about everybody still trapped inside. That resentment had been building up like steam in a pressure cooker for over 10 years by the time Rooms dropped and blew the lid clean off. But the real gasoline, the thing that turned internet disses and subliminals into an actual blood debt with real bodies attached to it, went down on November 6, 2020, outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. And what happened that night would permanently alter the trajectory of every single person connected to this story. King Von, O Block's golden child, signed to Dirk's OTF, the man who gave the block a whole new identity after Sosa left, got into it with Quando Rondo's crew in the parking lot. Von wasn't just another rapper from the hood. He was the storyteller, the voice, the pride of the block. His album Welcome to O Block had put their struggles on wax in a way that felt real and raw. He was the ticket out, the proof that the block could still produce greatness even after Sosa dipped. Surveillance footage showed Von approaching Rondo's whip and punching him through the window, setting off a full-blown brawl. That's when Quando's right-hand man, Timothy Leaks, aka Lul Timm, 22 years old out of Savannah, pulled his strap and let off, hitting Von multiple times in the chest and stomach.
Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
All hell broke loose. Off-duty cops who happened to be in the area started busting too. 6 people got hit total. 3 didn't make it out alive. Von at just 26 years old, Mark Blackley at 34, and 1 other individual. The scene was pure chaos. Bodies on the ground, gun smoke in the air, sirens cutting through the Atlanta night. Tim caught shots himself, 1 in the hip and 1 in the backside, and got booked the next day on felony murder charges right from his hospital bed. He was 22 years old, lying in a hospital recovering from gunshot wounds, and the state of Georgia was trying to put him away for life.
Yeah, that's the second time I done got shot.
Are you more calm about it this time since you've gone through it before?
Yeah, because like the first time I got shot, I didn't even have a panic attack.
Tim posted a $100K bond in March 2021 and sat under that cloud for over 2 years, waiting for the system to decide his fate. Then, in August 2023, Fulton County prosecutors did what nobody in O Block thought was possible. They dropped every single charge against him before a grand jury could even issue an indictment. They cited Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. The security footage clearly showed Von throwing the first punch and being the aggressor, and the state ultimately determined that Tim was acting to protect his mans from serious harm. The legal system looked at the evidence and called it self-defense. Tim's attorney, Noah Pines, made it plain. The case against Mr. Leaks was dismissed prior to ever being indicted. Case closed. Just like that. For O Block, that was the worst possible outcome. The man who put their brother in the ground walked out free, and he didn't stay quiet either. After those charges got tossed, Tim started dropping diss tracks, posting provocative videos, and linking with agitators like Charleston White, who straight up called Von a demon on camera, and praised Tim for what he did. It was salt in the wound, month after month after month. And then, 3 days after Rooms hit the internet, Tim did the one thing that guaranteed O Block would snap. The clapback that broke the internet wide open. February 16th, 2026. DJ Academics drops a clip on his Instagram that had the whole internet choosing sides before the video was even 30 seconds in. The post, up at instagram.com/PDU74NTJQ4HH, featured a short video of Lul Timm, Von's shooter, the man the feds couldn't touch, looking dead into the camera and addressing O Block and OTF with the type of disrespect that you don't come back from. He wasn't being slick. He wasn't being subtle. He was straight up telling the whole block to shut up and sit down.
Boy, man, bro, did a song with Lul Timm. Man, y'all, shut y'all bitch. They ain't gonna do shit ass niggas up, man.
Let that marinate for a second. The man who took Von's life, the same Von who was O Block's heart, their pride, the dude who carried the block's legacy on his shoulders through songs and stories and loyalty that ran bone deep. This man is on camera calling them out they names, telling them their grief is nothing, telling them their anger is empty, telling them that for all the tough talk and the internet gangbanging, they ain't about nothing. In the culture, in the streets, in any hood in America, them is fighting words. And Timm knew exactly what he was doing.
They ain't gonna do shit ass nigga out, man.
And then, just when you think he couldn't push it any further, he drops the bar that hit harder than any diss track that's ever been recorded. 3 words, get some money, and bro, that wasn't just a random flex. That was a calculated shot aimed directly at the most painful vulnerability O-Block and OTF had at that moment. Because what Timm was really alluding to, the subtext that anybody plugged into the culture understood immediately, was the indictments. See, by this point, Lil Durk himself, the head of OTF, the man who essentially became the block's lifeline after Keef bounced, the so-called voice of the streets, was sitting in federal custody on murder-for-hire conspiracy charges. The feds had grabbed him near Miami back in October 2024 and alleged that he put together a whole hit on Quando Rondo to get back for Von's death. But instead of getting Rondo, the shooters killed Rondo's cousin, Saviea Robinson, at a gas station in LA in August 2022. And it wasn't just Durk who got popped. 5 of his OTF guys, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston, all caught federal charges too, including conspiracy to commit murder for hire and gun charges. The feds were painting OTF as a straight-up criminal enterprise, laying out evidence of OTF credit cards being used to fly shooters across the country. Durk was looking at life, not years, life. So when Timm's full statement included the line about people ducking indictments, he was basically saying, your boss is in a cage, your homies are catching Fed cases left and right, your whole operation is getting dismantled by the government piece by piece, and y'all on social media crying about a song? That's crazy. That's what he was saying. And whether you love him or hate him, that jab landed flush. The response from O-Block and their supporters, immediate and volcanic. YouTube channels documented members going off, breaking their silence, threatening consequences. Diss tracks were being cooked up in real time. The energy was hostile. On X, the debate was splitting the culture. One viral post read, "First O-Block disowns Chief Keef, now they mad." Because he's making music with the hottest rapper RN. And honestly, that's a fair point. You can't kick a man out the family and then tell him who he's allowed to do business with. That's not how it works. And a huge chunk of the hip-hop community was backing Sosa on this one. Comments like, "It's business, never personal. Chief understands that. That's why he's free and still alive," were flooding every platform. People pointing out the obvious truth that the dudes screaming loyalty the loudest were the same ones who robbed Keef's crib, swiped his straps, and never once held him down when he needed it most. The hypocrisy was so blatant, it was almost comedic. You can't disown a man, rob his house, take his guns, refuse to acknowledge his legacy, and then turn around years later and tell him who he's allowed to make music with. That's not loyalty. That's entitlement. And the internet made sure O-Block heard that loud and clear. Hot New Hip Hop covered the discourse, noting that despite all the smoke on socials, no physical escalations had been confirmed. It was all internet warfare at that point. Heated, emotional, deeply personal, and divided right down the middle of the culture. But what this whole situation really exposed, what it dragged into the light for everybody to see, was the fundamental contradiction at the heart of street loyalty in hip-hop. Chief Keef left O-Block a whole decade ago. He watched from LA while Boss Top allegedly violated his home, while Von took his straps, while the block he put on the map turned around and treated him like he was the op. He built a new life out west, 9 kids, his own label, independence, peace. He did what everybody says they want to do. He made it out. He survived. And now, because he hopped on a beat with the wrong person, the same people who pushed him away want to drag him back into the politics he spent a decade outrunning. Make it make sense.
If my other partner was there, like, I got loyalty for him, I got loyalty for my other partner, like, that's just how I am.
And that's Timm himself, talking about loyalty, about what it means to him. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife, because the whole argument from O-Block's side is about loyalty, about codes, about rules, about who you can and can't rock with. But the reality is, those same codes are the ones that got Durk locked up, got 5 of his guys indicted, got Von in a box, and left the rest of the block fighting battles on the internet while the feds build cases in the background. The codes ain't keeping nobody safe. They ain't making nobody rich. They're just making more funerals and more prison numbers. Whether you see Lul Timm as a menace who got away with murder, a loyal soldier who stood on business to protect his brother Quando when it mattered most, or just a troll who needs to learn when to put the phone down and keep his mouth shut. His role in this story is undeniable. He occupies a space in hip-hop history that nobody in their right mind would want to be in, but that nobody can look away from either. And the cracks this whole saga has exposed, between loyalty and self-preservation, between the hood and the hustle, between holding grudges until they eat you alive and having the wisdom to let go and build something new. Those cracks ain't getting patched up anytime soon. Not with new music dropping every week. Not with federal cases still pending. Not with the internet keeping score of every shot fired and every bar thrown. If anything, every new song, every new diss, and every new indictment that lands just makes the divide wider and the wounds deeper. Because in the drill world, the past don't stay in the past. It don't heal. It don't forget. It just sits there, patient, waiting for the next beat to drop so it can come right back to the surface all over again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.